Kristen, Justin, Jody, welcome.
Yes.
I already feel
Thank
healthier.
you.
Holy shit, like 3 people
Wow,
in the
that's
health
fast.
world sitting around me here.
Mhm.
Okay, how about you introduce yourself to the audience and tell them
Okay.
what you do and how can you help them feel better and look
Mhm.
like me?
Bro, that's it all over, man. Wait, can you set the bar a little lower, please? Thank you.
Kristen, go.
Beautiful. Well, I'm Kristen Harlick, and I came into this just searching for health myself. I was very sick. I was struggling mentally, physically, really bad autoimmune disorder, depression. I had addiction issues, and I'm a mother.
Shit, what happened to you?
I was
Oh, that's just like every Canadian.
every Canadian. It was life. I was a product of my environment, never taught how to properly heal, and I was suffering. And I ended up reaching out to Elite Dynamic Life, and I became a client.
Mhm.
And I was so impressed how they radically transformed my life in a matter of weeks to months. Within 3 months, every one of my health issues was reversed. And then I decided that I was going to dedicate my life to this as well. I was so inspired and we need it so bad. So it's been 3 years.
No way.
Yeah.
So tell me how you guys met. Like, exactly. Like, were you searching for holistics? Were you searching for a diet?
Can you tell the story?
What is
behind
Okay, well, the best story, actually, Justin's fiance, Elle, and I,
Yes.
we were in the fashion industry together. We both modeled and we had each other on social media. So she reached out to me on social media and was like, hey, you need to come on this Zoom. This health expert's talking and timing is everything. And I'm like, okay. So I jumped on it and I was really blown away by what was said. It was different than anything else that I've heard. I tried to heal myself, get better, but it never stuck. I always relapsed. I always went backwards. And what they were teaching was very different. And then I met Justin. I met his father, Ron Oliver, and we got my crap together. We got my life together.
Literally.
Literally. As they like to say, can I swear? We shit our way to enlightenment, literally. And we detox our body and we just purify. And it's amazing when that happens.
Yeah, there's something that resonated with you and that was something that was meant for you.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a hippie, so all the natural stuff, it just fits right in.
We
Yeah.
can't
Energy? I'm listening. Justin,
Yes.
go.
Okay, well, I'm not the best at telling my story, but I'll try to summarize really quick. So basically, my dad started in this whole industry when he was actually a little younger than me now as a PT. And kind of one thing led to another, started doing nutrition, then got into detox, met some phenomenal doctors, and basically just kind of came to the conclusion that the whole world is sick with something, and he didn't want to be. So he kind of dedicated his life to learning how to keep the body running, how to keep the immune system functioning, keep all of our organs going well and strong and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of grew up into this. I didn't exactly have a choice. Like I did, but not really, because you know, when you sit around at a gym or you go to a family's home and you're listening to people tell their stories about how much pain they're in, and then they get to work with a guy like my dad, and all of a sudden that pain's not there anymore.
Yes.
You know, it changes you. You know what I mean? So this is like, I decided I wanted to do this with my life when I was about 6. I remember the day, actually, there was this lady, she came into one of my dad's gyms at the time, and I'll never forget it because I don't know why. She lost a lot of weight already. She was probably down maybe like 40, 50 pounds, still maybe had another 100 to go or so. She was very heavy set when she started. And she came in with like the brightest neon pink spandex ever. It was like, she was the second son. It was ridiculous. So I'm doing my thing on the monkey bars. I'm doing pull-ups, whatever, trying to get ready for all the girls in kindergarten. And then she comes in just with this presence, this energy, like she's on a mission. And so she catches my eye, not just because of the pink. And then she's looking around, all of a sudden she sees my dad, and he's in the back corner with another couple that he's working with. And she just has zero regard for the training session that's happening right now. Barges away right in, grabs my dad, gives him a big old bear hug, and just starts bawling her eyes out. And my first thought's like, Dad, what did you do to this woman? Why is she crying? What's going on? And then so I wiggle my way over and I start to listen, and I just hear this woman tell her story about how much better her life is. You know, she can spend time with her grandkids again, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. And one of the first things I remember my dad teaching me was, for whatever I wanted to do for my career, as long as it did 2 things, it made enough money so that I could provide for my family, I could raise kids and all that kind of stuff, and it did something good in the world, he'd support it. And so I'm sitting there thinking, well, my dad owns a couple of gyms. I've never heard him complain about the bills, and this woman's life is clearly better than it was before. So I still don't know how a 6-year-old had this conclusion, but I'm like, okay, I'm in. And so just ever since then, I've kind of dedicated my life to learning this stuff. And so that way, when the next Kristen comes along, I can actually give her answers and help, not just be a fancy face on the internet.
That's fucking amazing. I have lots of questions for both of you.
Go for it.
Let's get to know Jody for now.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, wow. Those were really powerful stories. My name is Jody Janoska. I am a local Ottawa blogger, mother of 4. And funny enough, I also went to school for holistic nutrition, and I have a similar story.
Awesome.
After having my children, I decided that I would go back to school, not because I wanted to practice, but because I wanted to give them the best quality lifestyle.
Totally.
Right? Fundamentally, we can't change who we are, but we can learn a few things along the way that could benefit our lives. It's not about living a very long life, but about living a quality life. And we learn a lot from others. And that's why I'm here, because I wanted to meet you guys and ask lots of questions.
That's
Well, we're happy you're here.
Thank you.
I mean, there's not much to motivate you like having kids.
Yes.
That'll get you going.
Yeah, it's true.
Awesome. You guys got me some stuff.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is this?
Okay, so that right there, that's some water that'll help you from your busy work schedule.
Came all the way to bring me water.
Yeah, a little
Yes.
bit. Well, it's
Fountain
really,
of youth.
it's really expensive water.
Okay.
But
What makes this water unique?
well, that's a really big long answer. Basically, that is just the closest thing that we can get, at least in this part of the world, to what water would have been a few hundred years ago, back when our ancestors were still around. You know, the properties that water is supposed to have, the right balance of minerals, the good molecular structure, so it can actually fit inside of our cells. Lots of electricity, negative ions, all those kind of things. The properties that water is supposed to have to do the jobs that water does in the body. Most of the water people drink today just don't have those things anymore. They've been processed and treated out the yin yang. But that is close to what you can get before
How
we
do you make this
serving
water?
up. Well, you make it through ionization. So it's a pretty simple technology. Basically, we're just zapping the water with electricity, and that does a bunch of things. It changes the molecular structure of it. It creates a bunch of molecular hydrogen, which is a super powerful antioxidant. And we filter it correctly, so we're not taking out all the minerals. We're not taking everything out. We're just taking out the bad stuff: the chlorine, the fluoride, the excess pharmaceuticals.
You make it
all
sound
the
better
crap.
than honey. Wait, let's see.
It is better than
I mean, honey, yeah, that's a tall order, but I mean, that will do more for you than honey will. I can tell you that much.
They call it the Fountain of Youth.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Try.
I was recently in Switzerland,
Oh, cool.
and that beautiful water was
So they
everywhere.
know about that stuff.
Oh,
all the
yes.
time over there.
Yes.
Actually, I have.
Okay. Beautiful. Oh, otherwise we would have
Maybe a
been
bit more
drinking from the same fountain of youth. That's your place.
I don't mind. Just set on your lipstick. I'm not giving you any. You also.
That's okay. I
That's
got
fine.
to know.
That's mine.
Yeah.
So if I start drinking this,
Yes.
stop drinking the shit water that we're drinking, what's gonna happen?
Well, a lot of things are going to happen. I mean, probably the biggest one that I can say anyone would be excited about. It's just you get a newfound level of balance with your energy throughout the day. You know, because water, it's not just to keep us wet on the inside. Like, it's supposed to be the body's delivery system. You know, not just for nutrients from your digestive system, but also for electrons and for all the electricity to travel through the body. You know, I mean, like your brain, it's 85% water. There's a reason for that. Water is a phenomenal conductor of electricity. And as Jody knows, the brain's just a giant electrical storm going on all the time. So if your brain gets dehydrated, then you have to work at 110, 150% capacity just to get the same signal from one neuron to the next. But if we can increase the efficiency of how that electricity travels from A to B, which the water does, then people stop forgetting where they parked their car at Walmart. People
Yeah,
remember what
fog.
they had for lunch last
With
week.
all that fog.
Exactly. You know, and the energy, you don't have those dips and the ups and downs because your body doesn't have to expend so much extra resources trying to compensate for you being dehydrated, that everything's just nice and level and it's consistent. You know, it's not like a 5-hour energy. I mean, I've had people drink that and they're literally
Man, I needed to drink something.
jumping up and down.
Okay, we have Hardwick this week.
That's it, you know. But it's funny enough. I actually I got a guy drinking that water because we took away his hangover in 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Like, how big was the hangover?
Well, he was up till like 4 o'clock in the morning doing coke and drinking,
Oh, shit.
so it was pretty serious.
Shit.
And
15 minutes.
15 minutes gone.
So I take this with me when I party so I can drive back home.
I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying if that's what you're gonna do with your lifestyle, this would be.
I'll drive anyway, so I'd rather drink this than drive.
If you give me control of what you put in your body for 4 days, that would actually taste really good to you.
Yeah.
It wouldn't taste gross anymore.
Really?
Really.
Wow. Why?
Because so this is an analogy I'll use to explain it to anyone that doesn't have the context of tasting it and smelling it and all that kind of stuff. So have you ever had like a strawberry or something that's naturally sweet, like a piece of fruit or a grape or whatever, and then a little bit afterward you have some chocolate, and then you go something super sweet like artificial, and then you go back to even the sweet food and it doesn't taste the same anymore?
Yes.
You have the strawberry and it tastes really good, and then you have the chocolate bar and the strawberry is almost bitter now.
Yeah.
Yes.
How does that happen? Why does that make sense? Because the chemicals that they put in the chocolate bar, it's so far beyond concentrated compared to what nature can offer that it literally changes how your taste buds respond to certain chemicals and signals and flavors and stuff.
Mm.
So if you got a bunch of bad bacteria in your mouth, if you're missing a bunch of minerals, if your taste buds have been conditioned to sweet stuff and artificial things and processed goods and whatever else, then good stuff doesn't taste good to you anymore, because broccoli's never going to compete with what's in that jar.
So I'll stop bitching about food everywhere I go and I start.
Yes. So just to really seal this point home. So we had a lady, she was super, super heavy. I'm not going to go into her whole story, but the main point I want to talk about is that she had a gargantuan sugar addiction. So like when I say gargantuan, I'm talking about like just this one woman by herself would go through 2 ginormous Costco shopping carts mounded over with candy and sugar and sweets twice a year. Just for her. She was protective over it. Like she would like that was her territory. You touch her Snickers, it's going to be some physical business. Okay? And within, I'm going to say 6 weeks, it was definitely closer to a month, but I'm going to say 6, so I don't want to over exaggerate. Within 6 weeks, she was tasting sweetness from broccoli.
Wow.
She'd never experienced that before in her life.
This sounds like La La Land.
Yeah. This
How sweetness from broccoli?
Well, because there's sugar in broccoli.
Yeah.
There's lots of sugar in broccoli. It's just nothing compared to an O. Henry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a dopamine, right?
Sure.
We get used to different dopamines.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we'll take it back to kids.
Mhm.
When kids, when you start to give them food, there's a cycle of what you introduce. Because if you introduce, for example, sweet potatoes, you cannot take them back to, breast milk and pablum or whatever. Or if you gave them pears,
Mhm.
then the butternut is not going to taste that good.
Right.
So you adapt because of the senses on your tongue,
For sure.
right?
For sure.
And they say that digestion starts as soon as the food, or as soon as you smell the food and the tip of the tongue, and then the digestion starts. Your body begins to receive it.
Totally. Well, because it activates the saliva. The saliva which turns on the enzymes, and that gets your stomach ready to go. And that's all it. But what I'm saying is that is definitely true. But people, even if they've fallen into habits, if they've fallen into things that they like, if somebody has a craving or an addiction to a food or a substance that isn't good for them, we can change it so their body literally doesn't have that craving anymore. So it's not a set in stone sort of thing.
Really?
Oh yeah,
How about
100%.
smoking? Smoking too?
Yeah, that's there's. I'll put it this way: there's not a substance that I'm aware of, street, pharmaceutical, whatever you want to call it, that I have not seen a human being remove the craving for. Not just they have the willpower and they don't have the bad habit anymore. They literally don't crave it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I believe it.
I have a question about. I have a weird relationship with sugar, but I'll get into it after this. So this is not edible.
No, so that's not edible. So that, so that is actually
Excited to try a sip or something.
Yeah. So what you
It's a
do
vapor, right?
is you
You throw someone with it, or
you take the silver,
very
you
good.
pour it into there, and then what it does is it
Convenient.
mystifies the silver, so that way you can breathe it in, and it can go straight into your lungs, kind of like an inhaler. Same sort of thing, but we're putting in a natural earthbound substance, not a bunch of chemicals that are going to go and shock in your lungs and rapidly lower the acid levels, so that way you can breathe again. This is not for respiratory problems that are happening immediately, but if you take something like that, any percentage of your problem that's associated with bad bacteria, inflammation in the lungs, any sort of infection, this will handle all that kind of stuff.
is it gonna clean up my lungs? 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
I smoke all the time.
Yeah.
Totally.
Interesting.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can keep smoking.
No. But this will allow you to do something very stupid for longer than you could without it.
Okay.
Right, we can't.
No. I didn't say you're stupid.
My question about sugar.
Yes.
The minute I take one lick off an ice cream cone,
Mhm.
I turn like a fucking angry monster. I can't eat sugar.
Sure.
I can't eat chocolate.
Oh.
I can't drink anything sweet. Like
Yeah.
this is fruit, like natural sweet, sure.
Sure.
Pastry, if the butter is dominating the sugar, I can eat a little bit.
Mm.
But if I eat like a chocolate bar,
Mhm.
I'm in jail.
Gotcha.
Like I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like I'm on my period when I eat sugar.
Well, it's funny. you
Why
mention
the
that.
fuck that happens?
Well, so
Everyone calm down when they eat sugar. Right?
Yeah.
everyone's a little bit different, and just going off that alone, it's probably not enough to give you like a concrete, this is like a blood analysis, this is what's wrong with you sort of thing. What I can say though is that sugar, it is an activator of a lot of different things in the body. Not all good. It will affect your hormones, it'll affect your nervous system, it'll affect your digestive system, it'll affect even your genes, everything, right? Especially with the way that they've engineered sugar these days, because they want to make it super addictive, because that's how they sell more stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the most readily accessible drug on the planet, okay? But on top of that, anyone who has any problem with parasites, and this is something we can get into super long. I mean, we could do 4 hours on a podcast just on parasites itself. But sugar and the processed sugar that people eat today, it's the main food source that parasites like to feed on. And parasites are not something that you only get from eating Mexican street food. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that spent their entire life in Canada, in the States, never went to a third world country ever, and I've never had to work with anyone that didn't have some kind of parasitic problem. So when you have an infestation of parasites, it could be the stuff people commonly think about, the tapeworms, like the big helminth-based worms, or it could be something like Candida. Candida is a parasite, and so, okay, actually, probably before I go in, I should probably definitely define what I mean by parasite. So a parasite is a living organism that lives on, in, or with a host and derives nutrient or benefit from that host without providing benefit back. So that's the difference between bad bacteria and good bacteria. Good bacteria, they assist your immune system. They help your gut function. They keep your brain working properly. They're super, super vital for every part of how our body functions. Parasites, bad bacteria, you need them in a little bit.
They show up. They give you nothing.
That's it. That's it. You need them in small doses, because that's what keeps your defenses working. If an army never trains, then they just get weak no matter how technologically advanced they are. And our body has an army inside of it. That's what our immune system does, all of our bacteria and our T cells, whatever. So we need a little bit of bad stuff to keep our body prepared for when we do inevitably get exposed to the bad things, right? Yes. But the problem with everyone today is that they do so many different things in their lifestyle. They got so many different bad habits that are all promoting the growth of bad bacteria and fighting against the growth of good bacteria. So everyone's balance is totally upside down. And whenever you feed somebody who has a high amount of parasites sugar, it will cause them to react. Because, I mean, we've known this for longer than I've been alive. Parasites, like, they know they can affect the decision-making and the thinking of the host. They can cause you to crave stuff you wouldn't normally eat. They can affect your hormones. They can lower your testosterone. They can affect your sleep, all those kinds of things. So when you give them a huge dose of food, it's like a smorgasbord, and you're just letting loose all the armies inside of you, and it's just going haywire. So that by itself could be a big thing why your hormones are getting so out of whack, and you're having that, little time of the month situation going on.
I don't know if I want to talk, but I don't know if this is going to work.
Is it good? Yeah,
Okay. So I was going to say, whenever they have commercials on television, especially in the US, they talk about big pharma.
Right.
And when they give you the long list of things that could go wrong, they say this may cause depression or extreme mood swings,
Right.
big up and downs. Because, as I agree with what she said, because we all are built very uniquely at the way we receive things. And I think there is a way that the body rejects it as well. You could go on a major downward spiral, you call it. I was actually reading a book recently, and it talked about how all of the brain to gut barrier, it was talking about all that microbiome, how it's uniquely built to us, but there's a lot that gets destroyed by what we consume and our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? Even our thoughts. Yeah. Remember that? That
absolutely.
Thoughts can affect.
For sure. I mean, like, again, longer than I've been alive, we've known that you're thinking, literally the vibration that the thoughts inside your head create can affect the expression of your cells. They can affect the epigenetics
That's
of your
what's
DNA.
keeping me alive, trust me.
Full of happy thoughts.
Exactly. And so that's what I say all the time. Somebody can live on paper an unhealthy lifestyle, but have that personality where they're naturally joyful. They laugh at everything. They're just a giggly, bubbly person.
Yes.
And 9 times out of 10, they're going to be healthier than a miserable person that eats a perfect diet, goes to the gym all the time, and has everything figured out physically, but emotionally and mentally, they're broken. The happy person will be healthier than the healthy person.
Yes.
Because our minds are incredibly powerful. What we think that, even if you scratch out the part about how the stress can directly affect your gut and, pretty much completely shut down your whole digestive system, just the decisions that come after those negative thoughts, they're never going to be good for your life. Nobody's like super depressed and then they end up going to start a business or raising a beautiful family. it produces bad results. So there's no reason to entertain that kind of stuff and keep going that on. You always got to make sure that your mind is healthy, because your body and your mind, they're connected all the time.
They did a case study giving a bunch of people different information, like bad news, we would say.
Right.
Like, breaking news to somebody that they have terminal cancer or things were going wrong with
They were just fucking with them, or that was true?
Like true stories.
Oh,
They were,
okay.
and they had them, and they consent, of course, to recording this. But it's the way they perceived it. Immediately, the brain goes to, I'm a fighter. I'm going to overcome this disease, right? Or my life is over. And every single cell in the body resonates with that feeling.
Wow.
Right? And it's
Absolutely.
either you got that winning attitude or you got that attitude that things are going to go down.
Totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
So the truth is that it's from the womb. Everything starts from inception, right? Like somebody's thoughts. I, in general, wake up very happy every day. Maybe my husband will just, don't talk to him, but but I know that it's going to be a win.
You're happy inside, but you're making sure he's not. You're just not giving him all itchy faces in the morning.
That's what makes a long, happy marriage. You have to keep it challenging.
He wakes up in the morning, what did I do wrong now?
That's it. Well, you got to keep them on their toes.
Oh, on the toes, exactly.
Yeah.
So the truth is that it makes...
That's how you know her husband is not Lebanese.
It's true. He's not even South
There
African.
you go.
But it's the truth. And I think that your attitude, working on your attitude every single day using this, because you can give all of us the same supplements, have the right protocol, but it's how we accept it in our bodies.
What's your tip to work on your attitude? If you can give the audience little tips on, like, you keep saying you need to work on your attitude. So what's your tip?
Yeah. So, the thing is that I am a firm believer in education, right? Reading, listening to people, being educated is the best decision you can, right? With my children, I have a whole bunch of soon to be 4 teenagers, and attitude is everything. Okay, so every day we regroup, talk about situations of the day, and I just give them a bunch of different options. And that's what we have every day, right? A bunch of different options. Instead, human nature is to immediately go to the negative, right? We judgmental. All humans are judgmental, right? But I always say to them, instead of going to the position of, I don't like this person, or I'm not going to have a good day, start off with a positive, right? Say it, even if it's not 100% what you're thinking right now, right? Be like, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good week.
Yeah.
Right?
We speak our realities.
We speak our reality. So that is what I'm teaching my children. And that's what I've taught myself. I came to this country when I was 21 by myself from South Africa.
Oh.
That was how many months ago?
Oh, a few months ago. And so I lost it. This year was my 20th anniversary in Canada.
No way.
But a young person with a big dream, you may not have everything else matching. My attitude is what got me to succeed, right? I knew I didn't have a plan, like in terms of, the perfect job or the perfect home or anything else. But a good attitude takes you a long way, and you align with good people.
Fucking right.
Right?
Totally.
You don't need to have lots of money. You just need to...
Well, you're looking at me like this.
Yeah, JC. Everything's about money, man. Come on.
Okay, I'll give it all away. Fucking.
Well, I think practically, how somebody could get to the level that you're talking about, like an actual, skill or a habit to practice, it's just being grateful.
Grateful.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Gratitude, like it's a force of nature. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We woke up this morning. We're breathing fresh air right now. We get to live in a free country, or we can say stuff that the government doesn't agree with, and we're not going to get thrown in jail for it.
Yes.
Like, we're winning. How many tens of millions of people, it's never going to be possible for them to get on a show like this. You know what I mean? So when you think about life from a perspective of just, it might not be exactly what we want, and things could definitely be a hell of a lot better for a lot of people. Absolutely. But you have all 10 fingers, hopefully, all 10 toes, hopefully. You still have the ability to communicate, use your words. You still have free will to do things and change the circumstance that you're in. So as long as that opportunity is real, like, we got nothing to complain about, even when we have our worst day ever.
I was in the sauna yesterday at Good Life. 2 guys walks in the sauna. There's like another 4. And they walk in, and one of the guys is like, so guys, do you like Ottawa? And he has this fucking depressed look on his face. And he's already like, he wants to be khosh-bosh with us, and he wants to start asking us questions and shit. I ignored.
Did you say hosh bosh?
Khosh-bosh.
Is that a Lebanese thing?
Yes, that's a Lebanese thing. It's like close to us.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So some of the guys start answering. Some of the guys are like getting uncomfortable. Anyway, the guys, they didn't stop for 10 minutes complaining. And then he's like, so bro, do you like Canada? I'm like, yeah, I like it. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm not a complaining bitch like you. I've never met this man before.
Sure.
Looked him in the eye, I'm like, I'm not a complaining bitch like you. So things.
Well, I think sometimes men gotta
Things
talk
work
about it
for
that way.
Oh my
You know?
God,
Yeah.
man, he's a young, in his early 20s guy.
Yeah.
All he does is fucking complaining.
Yeah.
You know how many friends I lost this year because of this? 9.
Mm.
I meet with them 3 times in a row, and if
Yeah.
you're still complaining about the same problem, this 3 times in a row, that
You got of course you
didn't
got
do
a
anything
formula.
about it. That means
Yep.
you're out of here.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
That's it.
Get the
Of
fuck-
course he's got a
You're
formula. how to
complaining
decide.
about your wife 3 times. I see you. Why didn't you feel her yet?
Okay. I mean, that's one way to
Take
do
her on a vacation to Lebanon or South Africa. You know, get it done.
Yeah.
She jumped off the mountain. She like drowned it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm joking, but
Of
like
course.
honestly, man, like not really. Honestly, like yeah, the positive attitude. I came here 5 years ago, man.
Yeah.
3 years and a half ago, I was doing Uber.
Mm.
Now I'm running 4 media agencies.
Exactly.
Right, like I'm still not halfway where I want to be.
Yeah.
I barely spoke English. You know?
Sure.
Like all this shit, I still barely speak English. But, but you know, like yeah, it was a positive attitude. And now one of the things that I'm doing, and maybe you notice this on my Instagram, every morning or evening I make a video. It's like, good fucking morning, go kill your day, like go be great today. You
Right.
can do
Yeah.
it. Every fucking morning and every fucking night I do it, and I do it in my own style. And people they're messaging me like, JC, it's actually changing my day.
Sure.
It's making me feel better. So that's our job. Instead of like my mistake last year is like seeing someone who's not doing really well mentally, I just run away from them.
Right.
I don't want this energy.
Right.
Well, I still don't want to be close to them, but I want to
Sure.
do something about it.
Add value.
So
Yeah, I think that every day you never know who's going to be in your path and you never know who needs you,
Totally.
right?
Well, and you never know what someone's going through.
You never
You
know.
know, somebody might cut you off in traffic and give you the bird, but maybe their mom died 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You got no clue.
I'll stay punching, bro.
Yeah.
Your mom died. You want to visit her? It sounds like.
But it's true. Like I try to be very, I try to think about this all the time in the industry that I'm in as well, because there's a lot of people that follow me, listen to my story. And I think that a lot of people may see, for example, perfection and say, oh, you seem like you have it together. You got a nice family, you have a nice attitude, but it's work, like everything in life,
Yes.
right? It's work. You have to put in what you want to get out, right? And there's always
what she
people
said.
there's always people that we look up to, and those people look up to other people as well. So I always, these days, I'm, a little bit more diligent with asking questions, right? You are giving off to your audience and, you're motivating people. And this is amazing because you're talking to a certain kind of person that says, this guy knows it. He's motivating me. I didn't really want to do this today, but I'm going to do it, right? Maybe somebody in my community, I'm speaking to them and saying, hey, you know what? I have 4 kids. I'm cooking all day. It's a lot of work, but you know what? You invited me. I'm going to add value. I'm going to show up because you needed me.
Right. Well, it's awesome you guys bring that up, because like I'm a coach primarily. That's what I do. Like that's my profession, and a lot of the time when people are in a situation where they need to hire a coach, it's very easy for them to start to, like put me on a pedestal. Be like, oh, well, of course Justin can do it because he's been doing this since he was 2 years old and his dad's bald. And so he's got all these advantages in life and all that kind of stuff. Did you catch that? He didn't. That's okay. But, but it's like, if you're a genuinely good coach and you want to do what you're talking about, you want to give back. If you have extra in your tank and you want to give some to somebody else who needs it, like that's the whole point of being a coach. It's not so you can be some badass, rah, look at me, I'm better than you, anything like that. You're not any better than anybody. The only thing you got going for you is you're a little bit maybe farther along the path somebody else wants to go than them.
Yes.
But that gives you a responsibility. If you're a good coach, you're not someone that's better than anybody. You have to be the lowest. You got to be the servant. Yes. That's the only way you can actually deliver the results, is you have to serve the people, and your life has to be dedicated to theirs becoming better, because otherwise you're just an a-hole.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when you're not feeling like, 100% aligned, it's okay. That week you're not going to do your best. You can't be hard on yourself as well.
Right. Yeah, there are some weeks you can't do anything about it. There's sometimes you'll lose and you can't do anything about it. You did everything right. You'll still fucking lose.
Sure.
That's okay.
That's life.
Just try again.
Nobody ever said it's supposed to be easy.
Do it again. I was fasting. I was doing a 48 hours fast a couple of weeks ago, and I saw her. We're neighbors.
Yeah.
And I saw her. I'm going in my house, and she's like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm fasting." And she started like, she blew my head. You should do this, do this, do this. So she told me that you guys put all your clients on a fasting diet or something like this when they become clients.
Sure.
Why do you guys do that?
Well, that's a great question. Fasting, if you ask me, in my opinion, it is one of the single greatest skills that people can learn to have a direct control on the physiology of their body. And that's why. Not because fasting is going to cure any of your diseases or anything like that. It's not because you fast, you're guaranteed to be healthy. It's because if you develop the skill of fasting, you learn how to fast properly, how to prepare before, how to operate during, and how to prepare for after.
Yes.
You can actively control the physiology of your body, and it's not just completely dependent on what your organs want to do. And that gives people a big sense of ability to kind of dictate where their bodies go and what decisions they make in life, how they affect them. Because, for example, you can use fasting as a way to counteract a night out. You know, like you go out, you want to go with the boys, you want to go partying, you want to do a bunch of stuff that your body does definitely not like. It's not going to be good for your heart, your liver, your kidneys, whatever.
You cleanse this.
Exactly. You can kind of counterbalance that. You can tip the scales back in your favor a little bit by doing something like a fast. You know, you might be a person that has some very, very strict rules with your diet because your gut's just totally jacked up and you don't have the options to eat all the powerful superfoods and take all the pills and everything else that a normal person would do. You can get those same results through fasting by not having to eat at all, because we're just completely changing the goals that the body has on the inside.
Right? I started fasting and it changed my life. I do almost every day 16 hours fast, 0 calories.
Right.
And then I do every week or every 2 weeks, I do 48 hours fast. And January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, I'm fasting 72 hours. That will be my first 72 hours.
Hey, good for you.
And I'm going to do 72 hours every quarter. So every month, I'm going to do 72 hours. I started and I can't stop. It's just the way I feel. I feel like a Superman.
That's it.
Honestly.
Totally.
My mind is so sharp. Zero brain fog. The energy level is crazy.
The adrenaline.
Believe it or not, I'm not as moody when I'm fasting. Like my mood is very regular.
Really?
Yeah. Usually I'm like, like a small thing happens. I'm going to get shit done. You know? But with the fasting, I'm like, I can be more patient. I can be.
Well, because it creates balance in the body,
and my body looks better, feels better. And I did 48 hours fast. I did 2 workouts during the 48 hours fast.
Yeah,
I was hungry as fuck for 24 to 48 hours, but I survived.
Sure. Well, this is the thing, especially in our modern society. Like you go back maybe 100 years, 200 years, fasting was just an everyday thing, whether you wanted to or not.
Because they don't have food every day.
Exactly. Nobody had a fridge in their home with readily access to whatever option they wanted to eat that day.
There's so many fastings. When I started fasting, I started reading about it. Some people, they drink raw milk. Some people, they drink bone broth, vegetable broth. They enter some calories. And some people, they say you won't enter the levels of the fasting if you consume any calories. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's multiple different kinds of fasting. There's different ways you can go about doing it. And it totally just depends on your goals, whatever you want to do. So one thing that I see a lot of people do, and it's mostly people that are just the average person. They're just trying to make better decisions with themselves. They hear about fasting and they think that that's the key for them to lose weight. Fasting can definitely help you lose weight, but that should never be the reason why you do a fast. It could be an added bonus to a program you're already doing if you want to lower what you see on the scale. But fasting can give your body so much more than just seeing some abs for the first time. It should never be high up on the list. It's like, you never dedicate your life to something silly like, like all you care about is money, all you care about is traveling, having fun, whatever. Like those are important things, but if that's your only purpose in life, you're a sad person at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's the same sort of thing. It's just when somebody goes into fasting being like, okay, I'm going to cut my calories, I'm going to walk all the time, and I'm going to lose a bunch of weight, I'm going to look great. They're setting the bar so low for what the results they can actually get from doing something like fasting that they're just leaving so much on the table. It's like they're doing a business deal and they're purposely giving the opposition the better end of the negotiation. You know what I mean? So it really depends on what you're trying to do. The ones that I use most often, the techniques that I apply with most people.
You get your clients to get on fasting?
Well, and that's kind of what I'm getting to now. I'm long with it. I know. I'm sorry. So there's 2 different ways. There's intermittent fasting, like what you're talking about, and that's where it's more of a consistent, everyday sort of thing. It really depends on the person, and it totally depends on their lifestyle. So one thing that I will say to everybody, because they're always asking like, Justin, what's the perfect thing? What's the best diet? What's the best way to go to the gym and build my biceps? Whatever. And I'm like, there is no perfect, first of all. It doesn't exist, because even if I could write you, let's say hypothetically, I could write you the perfect program on paper. The nutrition's phenomenal. The exercise is exactly what your physiology needs. Everything's just perfect. But for whatever reason, you can't follow that program. It's useless. It's not a perfect program, because maybe you have a mindset issue where you're not disciplined enough to follow the program, or it's too far out of your budget, or you have to go to work so you can't go to the gym when I tell you to go to the gym because you're at work. It's not a perfect program. So you have to figure out what works for you. And then once you have a baseline, then we can work on optimizing and trying to aim for perfection. But we have to find a foundation first, because otherwise you're just going to be running uphill. You're going to burn yourself out way faster than you're supposed to, and it's not going to work. So it really depends on the person. When we're doing intermittent fasting, I would say I start most people on kind of like what you're doing, you know, like a 16-8 sort of split, where we have a couple meals in the day. So that way it's not just completely changing their entire world around, but it's enough where we can expand the time horizon where the body can go without food. Okay, because that's the ultimate reason why you want to do fasting. Like, one of the biggest benefits people are going to get is fasting almost instantaneously dramatically increases how fast your body can heal and recover on the inside. Because when you're digesting a meal, it requires a lot of energy. Like, that's why you eat a super big meal, you go for seconds on Thanksgiving, you're in food coma, because your body is just forcing energy.
It depends. When I eat just protein, like just no matter. Like, I can eat a whole cow. I'm gonna get tired.
Okay.
If I eat carbs, just literally, I'm like, I'm
sure. But you know what I'm talking about, though. Everyone's experienced the sluggishness that comes after a big meal. Yeah. Okay, that's because your digestive system, your GI tract, it's sucking energy from other parts of your body that are responsible for you feeling energetic.
Yes.
Because your body has to digest that meal. It's not just going to take a bunch of fuel in and then leave it alone and just let it sit in your stomach. It will not do that. So it will force energy. If there's not enough for everything to be going all at once, it will force energy from other parts of your body. So, for example, if someone's looking to heal and repair some damage done to one of their organs from a condition they have, they got a gut problem, they got an autoimmune issue, they got to fix their brain, whatever it is, giving your body back the energy that the digestive system would normally take up every time you eat a meal leaves more on the table for your body to do other processes, get other jobs done, heal and recover faster on the inside. That sort of thing. So that's one of the biggest reasons I think most people should do fasting if they're trying to heal or recover or fix an internal problem.
They should do it. The intermittent fasting.
Well, again, that totally depends on the person. A person can do it every single day for months and months and months in a row and be totally fine.
What's the minimum?
Well, I would say the minimum, somebody should give it 3 weeks. Give it 3 weeks where you're consistently intermittent fasting, you know, at least more days out of the week than not. So that way you give your body time to adapt. You give yourself time to adjust to the new schedule. And the last, you know, maybe 10 days is really when you're going to see the most results, because it's going to take you time to adapt to it and learn how to do it properly and get over all the mistakes and all that kind of stuff, you know. But intermittent fasting, it's really not something that I use all too often, because it's more of like just a baby step to prepare someone for fasting.
Yeah, because it's very true, because I want to say that my mother was diagnosed with SIBO, and she had a lot of issues with digesting food. And
SIBO is a real pain in the butt.
It was really bad, and she had to have esophageal surgery, and they actually did a surgery where they would close the little flap.
Sure.
But she had a bad recourse because she could never throw up again. Right. So it's really bad when you have the feeling to throw up, but you can't.
Totally.
And that got her to hospital a few times. So I was trying to guide her through it, and it's very difficult because I'm here and she's in South Africa. Right. But what we went through is I got really super educated on fasting when I started to train after kids. I decided to take part in my first marathon. And I trained, you know, with my kids, all 4 kids at the gym. Well, Mother Nate was running away, you know, taking part in a marathon.
You two would get along great. She gets her girls to work out with them all the time.
It was amazing. And so I learned about fasting. And the first thing I learned was that if I slept between 8 or 9 o'clock, when I woke up in the morning, I've already fasted. That was number one.
Well, that's why it's called breakfast. You're breaking the fast of the night.
Exactly. So I fasted, and I tried to explain to my mom, because it's a big daunting task. If you said to somebody, you're not going to eat for the next 12 or 16 hours. You know, it's like when somebody continually thinks, my goodness, I can't put anything in my body.
I can't go that long without food. I get hungry after 30 minutes.
I used to eat right before I sleep and the minute I wake up.
Yeah, so it's like a bodybuilder. Yeah. It's like being a bodybuilder where you every 3 hours. Because I did this as well. I trained for natural competition.
Yep.
And the reason I was flatlining and failing is because I wasn't eating often enough.
Sure.
Right? So I've tried everything.
I wanted to live by example, so I did it. It gets you the results.
For sure.
But as soon as
it totally depends on what you're doing with your body, because how you feel, like you don't put the same gas in a Toyota, in a Honda Civic that you do in a Ferrari.
Exactly.
They're different cars. They go different speeds. They got different engines, transmissions. So if you're training like you are, eating like a bodybuilder, it's not a bad idea because you have a massive fuel requirement. You have a massive calorie requirement on your body.
Yes.
Most people eat like a bodybuilder and they train like a Netflix consumer.
Yes.
It's just not a good combo.
It's a bad combo. So, until one day I woke up and just the thought of eating the broccoli again was just like, I don't think I can do it, because I was so used to my containers. And one day I was like, I think I'm allergic to broccoli. It was like, because I could feel it, like everything, And then, of course, it's like, I've got the tools. I'll just stop, give my body time to rest. My gut was just not happy with this.
Sure.
And, eventually back to my mom, her training in this way to learn for that food combining and having that food, have that time to exit the body. I was just teaching her a little bit about food combining, little tips and tricks along the way. And then it was very custom again to the person and the body. And there was no set thing as to, you should do this 5 days a week. It was more like an 80-20 rule.
Sure.
Right? Because you want to have fun. We're human. And so when you think about it like a task, you're never going to get it done.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why, like, everything we do, it's all lifestyle stuff. It's not like you follow this plan for 6 weeks and your life's just permanently changed.
Exactly.
If I decided to do the things that everybody else does in the world, I'd end up just like them. It's just the way things are, So, but going back to your question to finish off the stuff.
Prepping them baby steps for the intermittent fasting for the big fast. What
exactly.
is the big fast. How do you do it?
So the big fast, and I say big, but a big fast, like a true fast. What I'm talking about water fasting. Okay, so like what you were saying about the calories and stuff. I believe that if you're going through all the trouble of fasting, you're going to be giving up food. Like why just not give up the coffee too? You know what I mean?
Come on, why? Because the calories.
Because the
just gonna make my life hard.
It's not about the calories. The people think that just because there's calories in there, that's all food is a lot more than just calories. So the thing that I'm looking at is if it will turn on your metabolism, if it will instinct your digestive system to start to go through the normal digestive process, if you start to produce saliva, enzyme activity kicks up, if you start to get a bunch of gastric acid sent down to your stomach, that's what will interrupt the fast because it's sort of like processes involved in sleep. So if your body's sleeping, that's when most of the recovery happens. That's when most of the work that needs to get done internally gets done because you're not running around, you're not doing a bunch of stuff, you're not thinking about things. You can just kind of go into like a semi-comatose state. Your body can just go to work because you're not stopping everything, right? Same sort of thing. So there are processes that have to happen while you're sleeping. They do not happen while you're awake. There's also processes that if you start them in a fasted state, getting out of that fasted state, it shuts everything off because the power consumption gets turned back on by your GI tract, by your gut.
I have to get oh my God, for 3 days, no coffee.
This water will help you. It'll so much. It's going to be easier doing a 21-day fast on this water.
21-day what?
Fast.
21 what?
A 21-day fast.
21 what?
But if you would just drink normal water, doing a 3-day fast.
This
brutal. Water is so energizing to the body. It's replaced my coffee, to be honest. I drink coffee as a treat because it's just cozy, but it's amazing.
Yeah, like my fiance right there, she had to drink 4 or 5 cups of double espresso a day just to keep going at 17 years old.
That's a lot.
There's no exception.
Like 72 hours straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're just lazy and you eat the coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, like how long is the shift? You're just lazy.
No.
8 hours. 8 hours, you get 1 coffee.
Well, no, the thing is, it wasn't about that. She had a lot of health stuff. That's her story, and all those kinds of things. But the point is, no 17-year-old that's remotely healthy should have to have that kind of dependency on an outside energy source just to function and not fall asleep at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
How many coffees do you have now? Do you get now?
Yeah.
Bullish. And do you have energy?
Oh, complete energy.
Wow. From the water? Is there any tip you guys are not giving me?
There's a lot. I mean, we could be here for 12 hours, and I would literally not shut up the entire time.
You can't stay that long.
I know. We can't.
Is it a custom?
Yeah.
Is it a custom machine or is it a recommendation?
Yeah, well, I mean, it really just depends on what the person's looking for and all that kind of stuff, but across the board, it has to be medical grade.
Okay.
If it is not a medical grade ionizer using medical grade technology, metals, the right plastics, all those kind of things, it's not worth the money.
Yeah.
You know?
So because I was looking into it a little while ago, and I found a company out of Vancouver, and I actually bought a rebounder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a rebounder from Germany, and they got it for me, and they have it.
Cool.
And it's a very cool story. Like, they have a very nice company, and I would trust them. Like, you have to trust, of course.
You gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're putting something in your body, I mean, you gotta know what's going in there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because
but anyway, back to your fasting question. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. But anyway, so like I said, you know, by
the time I get to my third question,
I know.
we'll be having dinner together.
But you know, so and a lot of the stuff that I like to do, I try to keep things as simple as possible. Because, you know, it's my job to understand the science behind the stuff. It's a regular person's job just to know the right things to do.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if you can call a bicep brachii and you know all the fancy terms for all the physiology of the body. As long as you just know what makes your body feel good and what's going to keep you going when you're 90 years old, 100 years old, and you're still strong and you can pick up your grandkids and not worry about blowing out your back, you're good. You don't need to know the stuff that I know, right? That's my job, okay? So I try to keep things as simple as possible. And when I'm talking about simplicity, an easy way to do that is just cut out the options and just, you know, this is what has to happen. These are the parameters I have to fall under. Otherwise, it's not the best that it could be.